friends, this is B. Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be doing a Techo Kaigi, and what you have in here are the life books I've been using this year and what I'll be using for 2025. So we'll talk more about these ones, and I'll start it off with the biggest, and that is the 5-year Hobonichi Techo. This is from 2021 to 2025, and next year will be the last time that I'll be using a dated A5 size. I put emphasis on that because A5 used to be my comfort zone and I've used that for years. And from A5, I've transitioned slowly to a B6, which was my Jibun Techo, and then down to the A6 size. Since we're on the topic of 5-year, we'll also talk about the Tomoe River Sanzen. I've been following around the stories all over social media as well as in the internet, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a 47, 52, and 68 GSM, and all three have issues when it comes to bleed through, feathering, pens or inks that are no longer working properly compared to the Tomoe River paper, the OG one. And it's not limited to Hobonichi. It just so happened that they're the ones impacted the most because it hit the 5-year. And I believe also the weeks and some of the A6 or the cousin sizes. I have yet to follow the story in terms of those people who have received the replacements from the ones that Hobonichi assisted, since Hobonichi posted on their website and they handle things case-to-case basis. But for now, I'm not getting any 5-year. I'll see what else is out there. Then we have the Traveler's Notebook. This is the regular size. So I'm using the vertical weekly and I really enjoyed this one. This is like my life book where I can use all of the stickers, the washi, and then sometimes like put in some pictures. And I really enjoy this size. I'm not actually tempted anymore to get like any A5 notebooks because I got this size. Next, we have the Hobonichi Weeks. So this looks familiar because on my very old video, I've used this first back in 2022 as my life and wellness life book. I did the same for 2023, and then because this is a mega, I repurpose it for 2024. The reason behind that is because 2024 will be the last time that you'll see me using the Hobonichi Weeks because it no longer satisfies my requirements of portability and archive. On its own, yes, it is portable and yes, you can archive. But if you mix them up with the rest of it, there's a question mark when it comes to archive. So this will be replaced with something else. I'll still be continually using a wellness life book. Then we have the A6 sizes. These are the Hobonichi Hon. So this is the one piece, and then this is the tiny dragons. I use this for commonplace. I already have a video that I talk extensively about it. And then this one I use as my planner. It actually works together with this one. And initially, the plan was to have this as like my future log because this is weekly. But then as time goes on, months flew by, what was happening is I can actually use them on its own. So if I have this, it no longer acts as a future log, but just a regular schedule of appointments and to-do list. And then if I just have this on its own, the usual, I have the yearly index, and then I also have the monthly and as well as the daily. So they can work together or they can work separately. And because of that, I actually tried to also do this to also make myself comfortable, like doing weekly planning. So this is, I think, the second time I'm trying this one out. And I guess I'm not a weekly planner person. So that's probably why planning is not suited for me to using on this one, and I use this instead for something else. But I'll still use this for next year, but it'll be for a different purpose. As for the planner, like these stickers are removable and I can just actually interchange it. And I do have patches ready if I want to interchange them. So these are like Mofusan patches. And then I just switch things around. I'll still be using this as a planner. I was thinking of something else, but because I'm also working against time and currently I know what works and how I can go around with all of the features that the Hobonichi Hon has to offer, I'll just continue using it for next year. Now we move on what I'll be using for 2025. Obviously, I'll not forget, this will be 5th year. So it's like I'm gonna graduate now, coming from the 5-year Techo. And then, as you've seen earlier, this is a vertical weekly, looks like that. And then this one, so this one is different because I decided to use a dated monthly instead. So coming from this to this, so still the same size actually. And then instead of a vertical, I'll just do a monthly. I'll be able to share more on what I'll use this for if there's already contents, because it's much easier to explain that way. I do have other inserts that I want to finish also, like for example this is my cafe journal insert. So I have lots of inserts to finish, hence I decided to go with this one. Then for the A6 sizes, so commonplace, so from here it'll become this one. And then for the planner, which was these two, it'll just be this one. And then if I need anything, I'll just tip in, and there are a couple of notes pages at the back. And when I look back on my older Techo, since I started using the A6 size back in 2021, I end up not really using all pages for this. So if ever I do run out of any pages, I can just maybe slip in a small notebook or just tip in any notes or anything like that. But this will be the planner for 2025. And then last but not the least, you actually have this. So remember I mentioned that I'm no longer going to be using a Hobonichi Weeks. The replacement is the passport size. So initially I was actually just using this. So the empty one looks like that. And I'd like to actually briefly answer a question, because I think there were a couple of people who asked me back on Instagram. They were asking for an advice. You see that new Techos, whether it's Traveler's Notebook or even Hobonichi, it starts off somewhere in December. Like in this case, this starts December 23. For the monthly, let me see. The monthly one starts December as well. And if we look at Hobonichi, it does start December on their yearly index, and then as well as for the monthly pages. But then when you go to the daily ones, it does start January the 1st. Now, I was having this dilemma before when I actually first started using Hobonichi. And now that I think about it and I've used a couple of these that typically starts somewhere in December, not necessarily all of them, but a portion of it. I feel like the purpose of something before the year starts is if you're new to the system. So let's say, for example, you're new to a traveler's notebook. It's a way for you to ease into the system. It's like a practice or a dry run. Whether you have something in mind of what you're going to use this for, you have a bit of a leeway on what you can do. So if, let's say, for example, you made a mistake or you change your mind, when January kicks in, you can do what you actually want. And it's the same thing for the other brands as well. And it is an option. So whether you are new to the system or you've been using it for a while, you can either decide to just use it, rewrite whatever is on there, or completely ignore them and not do anything. And another option would be use it for something else that you are currently testing but you're not sure of. So you've got like 3 options. What I actually did on this one is, because it starts somewhere, this one started December 2018. So if you notice, I actually pasted 2 pages in, and then I just wanted to start off December 25th. So those are the options that you can do. Okay, going back, I mentioned that this would be from here to this one. So I could actually just go first just within here. And if you've been following me on Instagram, I initially mentioned that I was transitioning from Hobonichi Weeks to a regular size insert, but then I changed my mind. And that is because, let me share you briefly, I actually started off this one. So this is an undated weekly insert, and I just started it off back in September because I use this to track my husband's food and any symptoms, or kind of like my version of my wellness life book. But this one is pretty straightforward. I'm merely tracking, like if I look at the yearly, like the times that he's been fasting, which is pretty consistent since I only started like a quarter. And then in terms of his food intake, and then if you noticed, for this one, it's until the end of the year, and I only use like half of it, and I'll just continue using them until this is finished, but then I don't need to continue and set up a new one. And to compare that with the dated, so this is the dated. So the difference between the two is there's no calendar, and then this one, it's up to you whether you want to fill it out or not. And what I actually learned while using this one, because this is pretty much mainly food tracking, I also track any of his symptoms and anything at all. And I'll give you an example of that. So, for example, this one, Mr. felt sluggish while doing mountain bike as he hasn't been working out at the gym for 3 weeks. So that explains. And then my main reason actually is just to ensure that what are the days that he's been eating healthily versus going all out, because he does have some food cravings. I thought it's just me, so it does happen to men as well. And at the same time, any headaches, any pain, or anything like that. So because I've been using this one, I figured I can easily transition myself to using this as well. And I have the weekly. So the weekly has this part right here, but then I also wanted to get a monthly as well to get a visualization on what I have in here. So these are like, they go together. This one straight monthly is whatever monthly that you've seen here. So for example, like this one. So pretty much just gonna be like same thing in here. I didn't really want to think too much about it because I don't want to be in a position of you're thinking too much, you end up being paralyzed and end up doing nothing, or just stick to what your initial plan was, something like that. But yeah, so far these are the ones that I'll be doing, and that's it. If you do have any questions or any clarifications or anything at all, feel free to comment down below. Thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you on the next one.